Hi everybody, Such a Natural back again with a tutorial. This time we're doing a finger coil. As you see, I'm starting with the finger detangle. Gotta keep that water spray bottle handy. And I like to do the finger detangle before I start the wash process, just because it helps to keep the hair more manageable for when I prepare for the styling process. So I'm using the Giovanni Tea Tree Triple Treat conditioner, and it has a very good slip. It helps me to kind of go right through those tangles. As you see, we're working with some very beautiful kinky hair that happens to be dense as well. So after detangling this section, I'm twisting it into a chunky 2-strand twist, and I'm just doing that for the entire head. I like to recycle the leftover conditioner from each section so I don't waste any conditioner. And I'll just section off this next section so I can break it down into a few more sections until I'm completed with the entire head. After I wash, this is what the twists look like. Today I'm working with the Main Choice Do It Fro the Culture line, using the Accomplished triple layer leave-in, and I'm actually doing the finger coils with the buttery gel, and it's such a coating, moisturizing leave-in, you all. It really does not require much for this whole head of hair. Like, I used just over a quarter size dollop and just rubbed my palms together and just I'm stroking it over the hair, these sections of the twist, and making sure it's completely saturated and making sure it's absorbed into the sections. I am going in with a hair tie to move the sections I'm not going to immediately be working on. As you see, when I unraveled this twist, and like my fingers are rolling right through it with no hang-ups. I didn't use a comb. And this, I did use an additional droplet, maybe a little less than a dime size of the leave-in, just for added moisture. I don't think there can be a such thing as too much moisture. I like to use finger parting. It just allows for quicker access to continuing through the styling process. And so as you see, I'm just literally coiling the hair with my finger. So I'm parting off a section. I'm stroking the buttery gel over the section, and I like to make sure it's completely absorbed and well applied to the section before I start to coil it. And once I'm ready, I make sure I have a taut grip on the root of that section as I'm coiling down. And sometimes I go back at the bottom or maybe the complete coil to make sure it's coiled to my satisfaction. And so moving forward, I am doing some finger parting and just continuing with the same process, applying the buttery gel until it's completely absorbed and well saturated, and holding the root with my fingers as I'm coiling down with my opposite hand. It's a very redundant process, and it's a very simple style. A lot of people become frustrated with maybe their hair texture, or they assume their hair is not moisturized enough to achieve certain styles, or maybe specifically this style. I want to say that when it comes to any style, it's really just a matter of your product, your application, and your information when it comes to the ability to execute the style. So it's like the more informed you are, the more aware you are of how you need to actually do it, and what you're using, actual product, is what's going to make a difference with your outcome. So I would say just continue to focus on getting better, and that's all that can come. stroking over the buttery gel of this section and just beginning the coiling process. I glide my fingers down away from the root that I was holding to kind of maintain consistency of the coil while I'm coiling down the section with my opposite hand. Opening up this next section, and I am going to be using a little bit of the triple layer leave-in on each section just for an added boost of moisture and shine. And I'm just raking through this section before I begin to finger parting off a couple sections. I'm clipping it up and just gonna be repeating the same process. Using the buttery gel to make sure the section I'm working on is completely saturated. And I begin to coil, holding the root and just following down with my fingers slightly until I complete that coil. Look at that beautiful curl, and I like how this gel is firm hold for you to actually have control over the hair for frizz control and shine. It's moisturizing, but it also gives fluff. Like the coil swells. It's not like flattened, gelled down like some gel products can be. This is like literally a buttery gel. I don't know. I've never seen anything like it, and I really don't think there could be anything better, to be honest. So once again, stroking over the section with the gel and just beginning the coiling process. Gliding my fingers down on my opposite hand while I'm coiling to ensure it's a firm base, so the coil is pretty consistent as I'm coiling down. Repeating the same process. Some areas, as we know, everyone has at least 2 textures in the hair, so some areas may be a little bit more easy for you to flow through. Sometimes it's based on texture as a totality, what your hair texture is. And sometimes it's just based on how dense or fine your hair is. In addition to your texture, it's a lot of variables when it comes to the workflow of styles and the completion time. Going in with the finger parting again. Like to have quite a few sections parted off. It just assists with the fluidity of the styling process. I'm not going back and forth to part off one section. I can just kind of like go through that row without having to one by one part off sections from the row. It's just already there. I can just in a sweep. And so again, just stroking the product over this section, coiling down while I grip the base, and I'm gradually sliding my fingers down a bit for control. And I like to sometimes go over the section a few times just to ensure that it has a satisfactory look for me. And of course that's all going to be preference based. For you, of course, it's based on the client's of course you want a polished finished look, but what looks good to you is not the same as everyone else. So you would just continue on until you're satisfied with the outcome of that section and move on. Sometimes you'll go back, like you may do a few and you'll see, man, I want to redo this one over here. You just do it real quick. Getting into this top section, the crown, parting off, finger parting, a few sections around the ear area. This buttery gel has a bit of stickiness to it, but it's not gorilla glue tacky. Gorilla snot tackiness. It can be difficult to pick up. I like the consistency of it. It's the perfect consistency, obviously, for this style, but when your hands are wet or damp, it doesn't allow for you to actually grasp it out of the container. So you want to have like some sort of towel handy, maybe after you use the spray bottle, to wipe your hands so you can like access the product quickly. So in the crown, just this last top area, just 4 coils left, parting off the hair, so I can just move through this area, applying the product, stroking it over the section to make sure it's absorbed and saturated well, and then I begin to coil. So like before I was mentioning, some areas may not take as well to the coil immediately, like the first go over, so it's just kind of like I'm putting a little bit more focus into these areas because the texture is a little bit different, so it does require a little bit more focus, not necessarily more product, just like the more you like twine or coil the area, it just takes to what you're doing, so it eventually becomes better and more uniform with the rest of the coils you've done. And I'm just kind of slowly gliding my finger down this area. Once again, the texture is a bit different right in this top area, and you know, the more I continue to coil down, it's slightly taken, but I'm going over it again so it can be a tighter coil. And once again, you will sometimes find yourself going back to coils to get them to be more uniform with the rest of what you've done. So in this last coil, you guys, it's just like, again, it's the same process over and over again until you're finished. But I'm just coiling down, and I'm a bit gradual with this one because this texture in this area is a bit different than the back and the sides. So just to reinforce the consistency of this coil with the rest, I'm going over it a few times just to make sure that coil is actually there. And so this is the finished look. Very fluffy, shiny, bouncy curls. It almost reminds me of a straw set that hasn't been separated. A very nice look that finger coils typically last, I would say, 3 to 5 weeks. So once again, I use the Do It For The Culture line by Main Choice using the triple layer leave-in and the buttery gel. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. This is Such a Natural Beauty signing off. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at suchanatural.beauty.